John opened his eyes slowly. The light above him was bright, cold and white. He blinked several times. Trying to understand where he was, his body felt heavy, like he had been sleeping for years. The air smelled clean but strange, almost like metal and flowers. He tried to sit up, but his arms didn't move. Straps were holding him down on a smooth metal bed. He turned his head to the side and saw a figure. It was not human. The figure was tall, slim, and wore a long silver robe. Its skin was soft purple, and its big black eyes looked surprised. It had no mouth, but somehow it was breathing. The creature moved closer and touched a floating screen near John's bed. Strange symbols danced across the glass. The creature spoke. But not with a voice, it echoed in John's mind. "You should not be awake yet," the voice said. John blinked again, confused and weak. He asked, slowly and softly, "Where am I?" The alien did not answer. Instead, it turned away and made a soft, crying sound. Even without a mouth, John could hear it sobbing inside his head. A tear rolled down its smooth purple face. John stared at it, his voice shaking. "Why are you weeping?" The alien stepped back in fear and ran out of the room. The door closed behind it without a sound. Now John was alone, strapped to a strange bed. In a place he didn't know, the walls of the room started glowing with shifting lights. Symbols changed color, blue, red, green, in a slow rhythm. John tried to move again, but the bed was too strong. He could feel his heart beating faster. He took deep breaths, trying to stay calm. Then something strange happened. He heard voices, soft, whispering voices, not in the room, but in his head. They weren't human. They spoke words he couldn't understand, but somehow his brain tried to make sense of them. Awake. Not possible. Danger. Awaken. Last one. He closed his eyes and tried to focus, but the voices faded. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time felt broken. Like everything around him was not real. Then the door opened again, but this time 3 new figures entered. They looked like the first alien, but wore dark uniforms. Each had a glowing ring around their heads. One of them walked to the side of the bed and scanned John with a small, round device. Its voice entered John's head again, cold and sharp. "He is conscious. We must alert the council." Another said, "This is not supposed to happen. No human has ever awakened before." John's heart skipped a beat. No human has ever awakened. What did that mean? Where were the others? Were there more humans? What happened to Earth? He had so many questions, but no one answered. The third alien stepped closer and stared at John. "You are not safe to be awake," it said in a flat tone. "You may remember too much. You may cause harm." John frowned, trying to speak clearly. "I don't even know who you are, what this place is, or what year it is," the alien replied. "You will know soon if we decide to let you." Suddenly, a strange pulse ran through the room. The lights flickered and a loud alarm sound began. A red glow covered the walls. The aliens looked at each other in alarm. One shouted, "Emergency in Sector 4. His neural readings are spiking." The bed began to hum, and John felt something cold enter his veins. They were trying to sedate him. His vision blurred, but he fought to stay awake. He gritted his teeth. "I need answers," his mind screamed. His body trembled. Then he felt something deep inside him, a warmth, a power. He didn't know what it was. But it pushed back against the cold. The machines started to spark. The bed lights turned blue. One alien shouted. "It's reacting to the humans' resistance. Shut it down." Suddenly, all lights in the room went black. Only John's body was glowing faintly in the darkness. The aliens froze in fear. Then, from somewhere far away, a voice spoke again. But this time, It was not alien. It was human. It said, "If you're hearing this, then the last one is awake. And the war is not over." John's eyes widened. "What war?" He whispered, but no one answered. The alien nurse returned, slowly, silently. Her hands shook as she approached him. She placed one hand on his chest and whispered into his mind. "You were never supposed to wake up." Then she cried again, not in fear, but in sorrow. The nurse stood by the window, staring into the stars. Her face was still wet with tears. John watched her closely, his mind full of questions. His body felt stronger than before, but his arms were still weak. He moved one hand slowly, testing the limits. No one stopped him this time. The nurse finally turned around and spoke softly into his mind. "You are inside Station Ravenine," she said. "It's a healing station." Floating above the ruins of your home world, John's heart dropped. "My home world?" He asked. "Earth," she whispered. Her voice trembled. "Earth is gone." He closed his eyes. He didn't want to believe it. He tried to remember the last thing before waking up here. Flashes of fire, sirens, soldiers shouting. A ship breaking apart in space. Then nothing. Darkness, silence. "Why did you keep me alive?" he asked. The nurse looked down. "You were found drifting in a wrecked battleship," she said. "Your body was dying, but your brain was still active." John frowned. "So you decided to save me?" "No," she replied. "We were ordered to study you." She stepped closer, her hands glowing with soft blue light. "You were part of something called Project Phoenix," she said. "A last experiment by your people. To create a soldier who could not die." John stared at her in silence. "You mean?" "I was a weapon." "Yes," she replied, "but something went wrong. And your people lost everything." A soft chime rang in the room. The walls became transparent, showing space outside. John saw a broken planet below, covered in smoke and ashes. A ring of destroyed satellites floated above it. He felt something deep in his chest, grief. Burning and sharp earth was not just gone. It had been destroyed. He turned away, trying to stay calm. The nurse continued speaking. "The war ended 2 centuries ago," she said. "Your enemies, the Narlock Empire, vanished after the last strike, and humanity." She hesitated, wiped out. A new alien entered the room. This one, older, taller, wearing golden robes. He introduced himself as Draval, leader of the Kyrene Healing Circle. He looked at John with both respect and fear. "You are a miracle," he said. "No human has ever woken from deep cryosleep after full-body collapse." John replied, "Then why do you look afraid?" Draval didn't answer right away. He walked around John's bed, scanning him with a silver device. "You are not like the others," he said. "Your cells are changing, adapting, repairing damage faster than any known species." John took a deep breath. "Maybe that's why I'm still here," maybe Draval replied. "Or maybe you are still becoming something else." John didn't like the sound of that. He looked at the nurse again. "Why did you cry when I woke up?" he asked. She looked away. "I saw something in your eyes," she whispered. "Pain, rage, loss, and something ancient." The bed unlocked with a soft hiss. John slowly sat up, his muscles shaking. The nurse rushed to support him. But he waved her off. "I need to walk," he said. "Even if I fall," Draval sighed. "You can try. But your body still needs rest." "I've rested enough," John replied. He placed his feet on the cold floor. They trembled, but held, step by step. He moved forward, each step stronger than the last. Draval tapped a panel and opened a holographic map of the facility. "This is Ravenine," he said, "a deep space medical research station. Abandoned for 80 years. Why abandoned?" John asked. "We stopped working on human recovery," Draval replied. You were our last case. John stared at the long halls. The empty rooms, machines still glowing, but untouched. It felt like a grave, not just for him, but for his entire species. You kept me like a science project, John said. We didn't know if you were alive, the nurse said. We only knew your brain kept firing. Even after all this time, John clenched his fists. What do you want from me now? Drovel stepped forward. There is something moving in the outer systems, he said. A new signal, old Narlock code. Active again. John's eyes narrowed. You think the Narlock are back? We don't know, Drovel said, but you're awakening. It happened the same moment the signal appeared. John's body tensed. His memories came back in flashes, the war. The screams, the burning cities. I need to see it, he said. The signal, the data, all of it. Drovel nodded. Come with me, Phoenix. John froze. What did you call me? Drovel looked at him with solemn eyes. Phoenix, your code name? The last soldier who rises from the ashes. John took one last look at Earth through the glass. He made a silent promise. If there was even a single Narlock left, he would finish what humanity started. John followed Drovel through the quiet metal halls of Station Raven 9. His footsteps echoed on the cold floor. The station felt like a ghost ship, empty rooms, quiet lights, and machines still working after 100 years. There were no voices, no other beings, just silence. It felt like a tomb for his kind. They entered a dark chamber at the end of the hallway. The door opened with a soft hiss, revealing a wide room filled with screens. Drovel moved to the center console and pressed his long fingers on the glowing surface. The room lit up with old Earth videos, home footage. City skylines, oceans, mountains. John stood frozen, watching the blue planet he once knew, his Earth, but the images soon changed. The skies turned black. Warships filled the skies. Fire rained down, buildings collapsed. Children ran through streets, screaming. Then, a massive blast of white light. Everything turned to ash. John dropped to his knees. His breath came in short gasps. The nurse stepped beside him and placed a hand on his shoulder. I'm sorry, she said gently. We kept this from you because we didn't think you could handle it. John looked up, eyes burning. What happened? Drovel answered slowly. The Narlock Empire launched the Omega device, a weapon that cracked Earth's core and burned its surface. They wanted to make sure no human would rise again. John's fists clenched. How many survived? Drovel shook his head. None on Earth, he said. Some human ships escaped into deep space, but none were found again. You are the last known human. The word struck John like a hammer. Last human, alone in the galaxy. No family, no friends, no people. Only memories. And ruins. John stood up slowly, his body shaking but strong. Why didn't you save more of us? He asked. We tried, the nurse replied. But we were a peaceful race, not warriors. The Kyrene are healers, not fighters. We opened our hospitals, our stations, but by the time we arrived, Earth was already dying. John stared at the burning images on the screen. He remembered the last command he received before his ship went silent. Protect the Earth at all costs. He had failed. Or maybe he had been failed. Suddenly, one of the screens flashed red. A signal pulsed in the corner, an old human code. John's heart jumped. That's from Earth, he said. Drovel frowned. No. This is from a different location, from a deep space zone beyond the old Sol system. It activated the moment you woke up. John moved toward the console. His fingers touched the screen, and it responded. The code opened, and a hidden message played. It was old, broken, but human. A man's voice came through, full of static. This is Commander Blake, of the Ark vessel Horizon. If you're hearing this, we failed. The Earth is lost. But hope is not. Phoenix units, if activated, must complete the prime directive, humanity. Must rise again. The message ended. John stood silent. Draval looked at him with wide eyes. You were more than just a soldier. You were part of a secret human project to survive extinction. John nodded slowly. Project Phoenix, he whispered. We were never meant to win the war. We were meant to return after the fire. The nurse stepped forward. There could be other Phoenix units, she said. If you survived, maybe others did too. John's eyes sharpened. Then I need to find them. Draval hesitated. That zone is dangerous, he warned. Old Narlock weapons, black holes. Gravity mines, no ship has returned from that region in over a century. John replied firmly. Then I'll be the first. He turned away from the screen. His pain was still fresh, but his mission was clear now. This wasn't just about revenge. This was about rebuilding what was lost, finding others like him. Finishing the mission, his people started. As he walked out of the chamber, the lights behind him dimmed. Draval watched him go, whispering to the nurse. He's changing fast. Yes, she replied. His biology is evolving every hour. He may no longer be just human, Draval said. The nurse nodded. But what he becomes may be exactly what the galaxy needs. The nurse waited for John in the quiet garden room of Ravenine. It was the only part of the station designed to feel peaceful. Holographic trees glowed gently, and artificial birds chirped softly. But today, the peace felt fake. The nurse stood near a fountain, her hands shaking. She had made a decision, one she had kept secret for over 2 centuries. John entered, his body stronger than ever. His steps were firm, his face cold. He had just finished reviewing the data on the Ark vessels. There was a chance some humans were still out there, and he would find them. But first, he needed answers. He walked up to the nurse and said quietly, "You were there, weren't you?" She looked at him, her eyes full of pain. "Yes," she whispered. "I was part of the mission that took your ship." John's fists clenched. He remembered the moment, the bright light, the explosion, the silence, his ship. The vigilant flame was Earth's last hope. And it had been captured by her. "I didn't know who you were," she said. "You were just another soldier to us, another enemy. But when we opened the stasis chamber, something was different. Your body was broken. But your brain wouldn't die." John stared at her. His voice hard, "So you kept me frozen." Like some test subject, the nurse looked down. "Yes, at first, but as time passed, I began to feel something else. Guilt." John raised an eyebrow. "Why?" The nurse took a deep breath. "Because I saw your memories," she said. "We linked minds when we tried to study your brain, your pain, your losses, your fight. I felt all of it. I saw what the Narlock did to your people. To your planet." She stepped forward, eyes shining with tears. "You weren't just fighting a war," she said. "You were protecting everything your species stood for. Hope, courage, love, even in the darkest times." John looked away. He didn't want to feel anything for her. Not pity, not forgiveness. But deep inside, part of him understood. She had seen what most could never imagine. The full weight of humanity's end. "There's more," she said quietly. "I didn't just observe you. I changed your stasis chamber." John turned sharply. "What do you mean?" She stepped back, her voice trembling. "I reprogrammed the chamber to wake you, slowly, over decades. I believed one day the galaxy would need you again." John's eyes burned. "So you made sure I would come back?" "Yes," she whispered. "Even if I had to break every rule of the healing code." John took a deep breath. His heart felt heavy. He didn't know whether to be angry or thankful. But one thing was clear. She had risked everything for him. Why now? He asked, Why tell me this today? She looked up at him, eyes steady. Because something else woke with you? She walked to a nearby console and activated a screen. A shadow moved through deep space, huge, fast, silent. It's not a ship, she said. It's alive, and it's old. An ancient Narlock war creature. Left behind to hunt survivors, John's jaw tightened. Is it heading here? Yes, she replied. Drawn by your signal, Draval entered the garden room. His face pale. We tried to block the signal. But it's too late, he said. The creature knows, and it's angry. John looked at the two aliens. A nurse who broke the law to save him. A healer who now stood ready to defend his station, and him a soldier without a people. But not without purpose. I need weapons, John said. And a ship, Draval nodded. We'll give you what we have, but you'll be going alone. John shook his head. No, he said. I'm not running. I'm staying here. And I'm going to face it. The nurse looked at him with fear. You don't have to die for us. I'm not planning to die, John replied. I'm planning to win. He walked out of the garden. His mind focused. The past was no longer his prison. It was now his fire, and when the Narlock beast arrived, it would learn a truth that had been buried for centuries. Humanity fights back, and we never fight alone. The lights in the medbay flickered, only for a second, but it was enough. Dr. Zarn noticed it first, the change in the system logs. A small warning flashing red, biohazard alert containment breach detected. He tapped the screen. Brows furrowed. This can't be right, he muttered. Nurse Vera ran in seconds later. Doctor? 3 staff members have collapsed. Symptoms. Zarn asked. High fever, rapid cell decay. Nervous shutdown. Zarn's heart sank. He knew that pattern. There was only one virus in the sector that matched. The Theta strain, a silent killer known to wipe out entire species. Immediately, the medbay went into lockdown. Red lights flashed across the ceiling, doors sealed tight. Robots sprayed disinfectants through the halls. In the center of it all was Alex, still recovering, still healing. But now, at the center of a crisis, what's going on? He asked. Sitting up, Zarn rushed to his side. Don't move, he ordered. We may have an infection. Alex blinked slowly. Is it serious? Zarn didn't lie. It has killed hundreds before they could even scream. Alex leaned back and took a deep breath. Well, that's not good, he said calmly. The infected staff were moved into isolation chambers. Their skin began to blister. Their eyes turned pale. Nurse Vieira's voice shook. Doctor, it's spreading fast. Zarn looked at the scan logs. The virus had adapted. It had mutated again. It wasn't just spreading, it was learning. We need to check everyone, Zarn ordered. Especially Alex, if it enters human cells. We don't know what it'll do. Alex was silent as the test device scanned his blood. The results came quickly. Zarn's eyes widened. Alex had it. The virus was already inside him, but something was wrong. It's not killing him, Zarn whispered. Vera leaned closer to the screen. He's fighting it. No, Zarn said. His cells are fighting it. They're adapting faster than the virus. Alex scratched his head. Should I be worried? Zarn looked at him like he was staring at a new universe. By all science, you should be unconscious or dead. Alex shrugged. Maybe it didn't like the taste. Hours passed. Alex stayed in isolation. He coughed a little. His skin grew warm. But he never collapsed, never panicked, never begged. He drank water, ate the nutrient paste, and rested. By morning, his fever had dropped. By afternoon, the virus was gone. Completely gone. Zarn ran test after test. He checked the machines. The samples, even the air. Alex was clear. Not just cured immune. How? Vera asked in disbelief. Zarn sat down slowly. His body didn't just fight it. It learned from it. It beat the virus. At its own game, Vera stared at Alex through the glass. He was doing push-ups now, sweating and smiling. Like nothing had happened, the council met that night. Zarn stood in the center again. "This human survived the Theta strain," he announced. Gasps filled the room. "No species has done that before," said one elder. Zarn nodded. "His body rewrote itself in hours, Syrinx." The cold-eyed council member narrowed his gaze. "Then we must study him more. Imagine if we could copy his cells." Zarn shook his head. "He is not a test subject. He is a guest, but he's too powerful," Syrinx replied. Zarn answered calmly. "Power doesn't always mean danger." Back in isolation, Alex rested with his eyes closed. He knew they were watching. He knew something had changed. When Zarn entered, Alex opened one eye. "Let me guess," he said. "I broke another rule of science." Zarn chuckled. "You broke all of them." Alex sat up, groaning. "Am I still infected?" "No," Zarn replied. "You're clean." Alex grinned. "Then, can I have coffee now?" Later, Vera visited with a fresh meal and a small crystal orb. "This is from the crew," she said, "a token of thanks." Alex turned the orb in his hand. Inside, a tiny hologram glowed a star, surrounded by healing waves. "It means endurance in our language," she explained. Alex looked at it, quietly touched. "Thanks," he whispered. The medical staff now saw Alex differently, not just as a tough human, but as a survivor of the galaxy's deadliest virus. They began to ask him questions. Not just about biology, but about Earth. About his people, about pain, and he answered all of them. With honesty, and sometimes with laughter, but in the dark corners of the station. Council member Syrinx watched closely. He whispered into a communicator. "Begin preparations. If the human cannot be controlled, he must be contained," because now they knew the truth. Alex didn't just survive, he evolved, and in a galaxy full of advanced species. That made him the most dangerous life form alive. Asterisk, the Galactic Council Room was a cold, silent place. Tall pillars reached into the shadows above. The air shimmered with quiet tension. Here, decisions were made that shaped galaxies, and today, they gathered for one reason. The human, Dr. Zarn, stood in the center. His uniform crisp, but his eyes tired. He had not slept in days, not since Alex defeated the virus. Floating around him were the council members tall. Strange, powerful beings from every corner of the galaxy. Some were made of light, some metal, some mist. They spoke with thoughts instead of voices, but today, they all waited silently for Zarn's report. He cleared his throat. "The human survived the Theta strain," he said. Murmurs echoed like ripples in space. "He is fully healed. He shows no side effects." A tall figure made of black stone leaned forward. "This virus has destroyed fleets," it said. "No species has ever developed immunity." Zarn nodded. "Until now, until Alex, another council member, with golden eyes and wings of energy, spoke calmly." "What does this mean for the galaxy?" Zarn answered carefully. "It means humans are more than just strong. They're adaptable. They evolve quickly." There was silence. Then a colder voice cut through it. It was Counselor Syrinx. His body shimmered like liquid metal. His eyes glowed with cold logic. "Or, it means they are a threat," Syrinx said. Zarn's jaw tightened. "He didn't attack anyone. He helped us." Syrinx stepped forward. "But he could. One human fought off our strongest infection. What if 100 come? What if they don't want peace?" The room grew tense. A floating mind being spoke from above. "But he saved lives. Why would we punish that?" Syrinx turned sharply. "'Cause nature rewards danger with disguise. Maybe this one smiles while he learns how to defeat us." Zarn interrupted. "He is not a weapon. He's a person. Meanwhile, Alex was walking quietly in the garden wing of the station. His body had healed, but his thoughts had not. He had heard rumors, whispers in the halls. Guards looking at him too long, doors locking behind him a little faster. He knew something was coming. Nurse Vera walked beside him. "You should rest," she said. Alex shook his head. "Resting makes me a target," she frowned. "They wouldn't hurt you." Alex gave her a quiet look. "I've seen friendly faces turn fast back in the council room." The debate continued. Zarn raised his hand. "We cannot fear every species stronger than us, or we become no better than tyrants." Sarex's voice was sharp. "We are protectors," he said. "And I protect by acting first," another member asked. "Then what do you suggest?" Sarex spoke clearly. "We quarantine the human, full observation, no access to tech, no freedom of movement." Zarn's eyes widened. "You want to cage him?" "He is not a monster," Sarex replied. "Not yet." Alex sat alone in his room, now. He watched the stars outside the window, each one a place he'd never see. Each one a path that might now be closed. He knew that look in Zarn's eyes. He had seen it in command centers, in labs, in politicians. It was the look of people forced to choose between truth and safety usually won. That night, Zarn came to his room. Alex stood up, slowly. "You're here to tell me something I won't like." Zarn hesitated. "The council is voting? Some want to quarantine you." Alex nodded. "I figured." Zarn sat down across from him. "I fought for you." Alex smiled sadly. "I know you did, but they see me as something different." Zarn's voice lowered. "They fear what they don't understand." Alex leaned back. "Then they'll never stop fearing humans in the council chamber." The vote began. Holograms lit up around the room. Yes, no, abstain. The final count appeared in the air, 17 for containment. 14 against, 1 neutral. The motion passed. Zarn walked back to the medbay with heavy steps. He entered Alex's room with no words. Alex was already packing. "So," he said, "where's the cage?" Zarn's voice broke slightly. "You'll be moved to observation level 3. It's not a prison." Alex looked at him. "Then what is it?" Zarn had no answer as 2 guards arrived to escort him. Alex stood tall, his bones healed. But his soul cracked again. He turned to Zarn. "Tell your council something for me." Zarn nodded. Alex said, "We didn't come to conquer. We came to survive, and we're really good at it." In the shadows of the council hall, Sarex watched the screen, a thin smile on his metallic lips. "Now we'll see," he whispered, "just how human he really is, because some wars don't start with guns. They start with fear, and now the galaxy was afraid of Earth." The ground shook as the Narlock pods slammed into the surface of Tiron. One by one, they opened, releasing tall armored creatures with dark spines and glowing eyes. They carried no guns, only razor claws and living weapons built into their arms. The sky turned gray with ash, and fear spread through the peaceful cities. But John stood still. He watched the enemy through his visor, his body calm. This wasn't the first time he had seen monsters drop from the sky. He had faced worse, but this time he wasn't just defending a planet. He was protecting the last hope of the future behind him. The nurse stood with a group of Tyranni defenders. They held homemade weapons, light shields, and courage in their eyes. They had no training, no real army. But they had something more: belief. They believed in John. He raised his hand, and the defenses activated. Scrap-built turrets began to spin. Energy fences buzzed with power. The battlefield was set, and the enemy was already charging. The first wave came fast, screaming, clawing, running on all fours. John met them head-on. He moved like lightning, faster than even the Kyrene scanners could track. One strike to the chest, another to the head. Each hit dropped a Narlock beast, and the others started to hesitate. The defenders followed behind him. They weren't perfect, but they learned quickly. For every defender that fell, 2 more stepped up. The fear began to shift, not from the defenders, but from the invaders. The nurse fought too. Using a Kyrene energy staff, she struck with precision, protecting the wounded, guiding the others. John noticed how she moved, not like a healer, but like someone who had been preparing for this day. The battle lasted hours, more pods dropped, and the sky turned red, but John never slowed down. His suit was cracked, his body bruised. But the more he fought, the stronger he felt. It was as if his body drew energy from the fight, from the chaos, from the need to protect. Then the air changed. Something darker arrived. A large pod slammed into the ground. Bigger than the others, it opened slowly, steam pouring out, and from it stepped a creature twice John's size, covered in black armor with red eyes burning like fire. John's chest tightened. He recognized the markings: Narlock Elite Commander. These were the ones who led the attack on Earth, who gave the order to burn his planet. He took a deep breath. "This is it," he said. The nurse looked at him. "You can't take that thing alone." John gave a small smile. "I don't plan to." He turned to the defenders. "Hold the line," he shouted. "Protect the civilians. Protect each other. I'll handle him." And then, without another word, he charged. The elite roared and rushed forward. Their fists clashed. Shaking the ground, metal cracked. The air exploded with power. The 2 warriors fought like titans. John dodged and struck, using speed and precision. The elite countered with brute force, smashing anything in his path. Each hit from the elite felt like being struck by a falling star. But John adapted. His body absorbed the punishment, learned from it. Every time he fell, he rose stronger. Every time he bled, his vision became sharper. Finally, the elite made a mistake. A wide swing, too slow. John slipped under, drove his fist into the beast's chest, then another and another. With a final roar, he jumped high, twisted midair, and brought his foot down on the elite's head. The enemy dropped, unmoving. Silence spread across the battlefield. The remaining Narlock froze, then turned and ran. Back to their pods, back to the sky. The defenders cheered. Some fell to their knees. Others cried. The nurse ran to John. He stood in the center of the field, bloodied, broken, but alive. "You did it," she said through tears. John shook his head. "We did it." Later that night, the fires were put out, the wounded were treated, and for the first time in days, the people of Tiran slept safely. John sat on a quiet hill, looking at the stars. The nurse sat beside him, holding a small data chip. "What's that?" He asked. "A signal," she said. "From another system, same code as the Ark vessel." John looked at her. "More humans?" She nodded slowly. "Maybe." He stood up and looked to the sky. The war wasn't over, but something had changed. He wasn't just the last soldier anymore. He was the first of something new.